Yes, welcome back to Football Heritage TV. And I'm asking the question, is a massive January needed? And if it is needed, is it for the obvious reasons? And what do I mean by this? Am I talking absolute gobbledygook? Who knows? But let me tell you. So normally you get to a January, you get to a summer, and you go, oh, the transfer window's open. We must have a massive January, a massive summer. So yes, there is that. But is there more significance on this January that's about to come up in the next 3 or 4 months because of the Daniel Levy situation? Now, what do I mean by all this? Well, first and foremost, depending on who you are, depends on how good you think this transfer window has been. You got some people like me that say, yes, it's been a good window, but we should have done more. We didn't address the positions we needed. We didn't get a centre back. We didn't get a left back. We didn't get a left winger, more importantly. And then you get the people that say, what do you mean? We got 4 first-team players in. This has been the greatest window we've ever had. So obviously it depends which side of the fence you sit. Some people sit in the middle. For me, I think I sit in the middle. I think it's a good window. I don't think we did everything we needed to do. That's just me. And not replacing Son was criminal. My personal opinion. But what makes this January more important, I think, than any other January we would have had is not just the fact that there is unfinished transfer business to do. So not just the fact that, don't worry, Savva will be more obtainable in January. Don't worry, Fofana will be more obtainable in January. And yada, yada, yada. What makes it interesting for me is with the Daniel Levy aspect of Daniel leaving, the aspect of the Lewis family, Enoch, they're going to act different. They want more wins more often. They're going to invest like they've not done before, is what we keep hearing. Okay, cool. Well, when are we going to see that? When are we going to see the proof of the pudding? Well, it's going to be transfer windows, isn't it? It's going to be in January, as that's the first transfer window. Now, the reason I said a massive January is needed, I'm not sitting there saying just by myself, oh my God, a massive January is needed, or this is the worst ever Tottenham have been. None of that. I'm looking at it from the point of view of how are fans going to believe that Enoch have changed? How are fans going to believe that, well, it wasn't all Daniel Levy, it was Enoch all the time. They must change. How do we see that that's changed? It's the transfer windows. Because they can bring in as many luggage partners as they want, paint partners, Formula One partners. What partnership did we have the other day? Tools, was it Stanley? Not my dog, but Stanley. Tools, a tool partner. A patisserie partner, a beer partner, a this partner, probably a hair partner. I don't know. Partners. They can do all of that. And as football fans, we can all go, great. Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, you brought in 50 million there, 30 million there, 90 million here. Brilliant. As football fans, how do we judge, though, how the owners work? We judge it on transfer windows. Let's be brutally honest. How do football clubs get better? Well, football clubs get better by better results, by winning things, by challenging, by being sustainable in the top 4. And how does all that occur? Better footballers. How do you get better footballers? You buy them, right? So this is all eat, sleep, repeat. This is the basics. I'm not unearthing anything that's amazing here. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But the 101, the basic 101 of football has got to be, if you buy better players, you've got more possibility of finishing higher up the league. more possibility of winning trophies, more possibility of sustainable success. Now that also encompasses having the right manager and the right structure and the right tactics, of course. But better players tend to win more than players that aren't very good. That's just life. So to round off that full circle, Spurs need big transfer windows. Now, what does that mean for January? Well, let's start with the left-sided players. Tottenham, we know, we're in pursuit of Savio or Savinho, whichever you feel comfortable with, from Manchester City. We were told that there was going to be bids of 60, 65, 70 million pounds and that we were going to bring the Brazil international to Tottenham Hotspur. And it didn't materialise. Now, that could be for a number of reasons. One, Man City maybe didn't want to sell. Sure. Two, Man City would have sold, but they want to know that they're going to go and get their man first. Now, lots of talk that was Rodrigo or whoever it may have been, but it didn't materialise. Therefore, not selling Savio to Tottenham. Okay, that's fine. Cool. Then you've got Fofana. Malik Fofana, top young player. This guy's young, but very, very good. Plays for Lyon. Lyon would have needed the money. And all summer, the talk was, what about Fofana? What about Fofana? What about Fofana? And then Spurs, apparently, biggest word in football, isn't it? Biggest word in football, apparently. I don't know, you don't know. Apparently, we inquired about Malik Fofana on the 1st of September, on transfer deadline day, to which Lyon apparently and the player apparently both said, no, not enough time to do anything. Clubs find it hard to replace players if you leave it that late, and that's understandable. I get that. But then you ask the question, Lookman, don't you? So you've got Savio and you've got Fofana, and then you look at Lookman. Of apparently Tottenham again. There's that word again, isn't it? Apparently Tottenham wanted a loan with an option to buy, possibly an obligation, and apparently Atalanta wanted the obligation or the money up front, which Tottenham weren't going to do. Now, some people are saying that's fine. We didn't want him anyway. Why get Lookman when Savio is your guy? We'll bring full circle. And that's fine. All of that is fine. Yeah, let's play the game. Let's pretend it's Football Manager and let's bid for him and bid for him and bid for him. And that's great. But it did leave us without a left winger. So in January, what do? Do we go back in for Savio? If you do we know that he's going to be available in January? Doesn't it depend on how many games he's played for Man City between now and January? With a World Cup that's coming up next summer, players in January might move if they are not getting game time. But then the club has got to want to sell them. So all of these different moving parts. But Spurs, for me, can't have another window where you don't replace Son. Now, that doesn't mean that some players can't fill in and do a decent job between now and January. You've got Johnson that will plug in there, Odegaard, Tell, Charlison can play out there. People saying Mawani can pop out there and Simmons can pop out there and Kulu could go out there, yada, yada, yada. But surely that's not how a big club, a top club, a Champions League club should operate. Surely you go, that's my guy. This guy here, that's my left-sided guy. Come rain nor shine, that's my guy. And then if he gets injured, then we start shoehorning people in. Not shoehorning as the standard. That shouldn't be the norm. That should be injuries. Shoehorned in because we had injuries and no backup. So you have to ask yourself the question, and this is only my opinion. Anything I say on my channel, guys and girls, my opinion. No one else's, not fact. It's my opinion. For me, if we do not go back into the left winger market in January and replace Son, that is criminal. I've said that before. I think it's criminal we didn't do it in the summer, and we might get away with it. We might not. But in January, we have to go big and show, hey, we mean business. The new ownership, the new model that the ownership wants to implement is in full flow. from the first window since Daniel Levy's left. So that for me is massive, that left-sided. Now, you look at the other positions. We were desperately going in for Morgan Gibbs-White, but didn't get him. Now, some might say, well, we got Simons, who's a 10, and Gibbs-White is. But I always thought that Gibbs-White, for me, was going to be more of a number 8. I think he was going to be more of a deep-lying playmaker. The number 8 gets on the ball, drives with it, gets forward, scores goals, gets back, boxed up. That's how I always thought that Morgan Gibbs-White might plug in. Now, that for me would make sense because I've gone on record before and said, look, at the moment, I think that Paulinho as the number 6 is the standout midfielder. And then you've got a number of 8s and in there, forget what number they are. You've got, Gray, the Bergvall, the Sarr, the Bentancur. For me, a number of Suma, a number of players who, not one of them for me, I go, yeah, you are brilliant. They're all decent. They're all good at what they do, and they're all good in patches. But none of them at the moment, there's the key word, because I think Bergvall could be that guy moving forward. But none of them at the moment, I go, wow, you've got to play. That's where I think Morgan Gibbs-White would have played. So I think it would have been Paulinho, Gibbs-White and Maddison. Obviously, the Maddison injury meant that Simons comes in. And now all of a sudden you've got Simons, you've got Paulinho, and it's who's it going to be? Is it going to be Bentancur? Is it going to be Bergvall? Is it going to be Sarr? Personal preference. So just my opinion that I think Gibbs-White was that guy. So do Spurs go back in for a Gibbs-White? Is that going to be more impossible now that Ange Postecoglou has gone there and all what's gone before him with Marinakis and yada, yada, yada? I don't know. But do we go back in for that type of player? Do we go in for a Morgan Rogers, who we've been linked with him for a long time now? And it's tough to get a player of that ilk out of Aston Villa. But with big money, you never know. Paqueta's another one. Now, all this depends, doesn't it? Kulu coming back. Do we need that type of player at that time? Maddison, when's he going to come back? February, March, April? I don't know. All of this kind of stuff. But what I do know is this. We're going to have to look at the striker situation, aren't we? Because for me, moving forward, you can't have Solanke and Richarlison as your only 2 strikers. You have to look, what's Mawani going to do on loan? Is he going to hit the ground running? Is he going to be a revelation? Is he going to be poor? We don't know. Hopefully, he bangs in 25, 30 goals this season. I think he's a very talented lad. But equally, what if we get towards January and what if he's recalled? I don't know if that option's in his contract, but what if he's recalled? What if he's injured? What if he says, I don't want to be here next year? Then the club has to start looking again. What if we need a centre-half? What if Fhtv and Romero have gone down? So listen, the upshot of all of this for me is, I think the Spurs need to have a massive January window. And for many reasons. Not just because every club should be buying better players. Not just because it's a World Cup year. Not just because we left ourselves short this summer for me. But because I think it's going to be about a signal of intent from Lewis. The Lewis family, ENIC, if you will. It's going to be about that signal of intent. We're going to operate differently. Show us. Show us you are. There's no point all of us losing our minds, going, Levy's gone. We've got our Tottenham back. Yeah, let's all die. Okay, Levy's gone. Great. Now what? Show us. Show us that it was Levy. Show us that it wasn't you lot, ENIC. Because at the moment, nothing says that it's not ENIC. We all had a go at Daniel Levy, me included, for years and years and years. Of course, there were things I really didn't like about him. But now show us that it wasn't Levy, that it was Levy. Show us that he wasn't following your directive. Show us that you've changed. Show us something. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to ask the question. Who do you want in January? Did we leave ourselves short? Have we got enough to cover ourselves through? Because football fans are very fickle, aren't we? We're very fickle. And all the same people in my channel right now that will be going, no, we're fine. Our squad's fine to get us through to January. They'll be the same people that when you get 2 or 3 injuries go, oh, we didn't do what we needed in the summer transfer window. And I get it. We're all the same. We're football fans. It's emotion. It's the hype. It's the love of the game. It's the pain. It's the tears, it's the laughter, it's the celebrations. But for me, I think we're just slightly short for what is a difficult season. Champions League, 2 games a week, starting on Tuesday against Villarreal. We'll see. Listen, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. Listen, not knocking the club or anything. I'm just saying I'm very interested to see what's this new era of Tottenham Hotspur going to look like. And we're going to find out. Let me know your thoughts. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.